Hello and a very good evening to all our viewers who are joining me in this live interaction of News 9's Facebook as well as YouTube page. Now, a small study in the UK has found that cellular immunity to the pandemic SARS-CoV-2 virus is present after 6 months in people who had mild or asymptomatic COVID-19 infection, and this has suggested that they might have some level of protection for at least that point in time. Now, scientists who are presenting the findings from across 100 non-hospitalized COVID-19 patients in Britain said that they were reassuring but did not mean that people cannot in rare cases be infected twice with the disease. And this particular study also analyzed the blood of 100 patients 6 months after they had either mild or asymptomatic COVID-19 infection. And it was found that while some of the patients' antibody levels had dropped, their T-cell response, which is another key part of the immune system, remained robust, and the early results also showed that T cells could outlast the initial antibody response. And this particular study also found that the size of T cell response differed and was considerably higher in people who were symptomatic COVID-19 patients than those who had no symptoms when infected. So according to the researchers, this could be interpreted in two different ways. It is possible that higher cellular immunity might give better protection against reinfection in people who had symptoms, or equally that asymptomatic patients are better able to fight off the virus without the need to generate a large response in the body. Now, in order to answer a few questions, we have with us Dr. Tcells Roy joining us live from Mumbai. Many thanks for joining me on the phone line, Dr. Tcells Roy. Now, my first question to you is, what do you think about the study?
So, Deepak, I think this study truly gives us good hope. We were always concerned whether declining antibody levels in patients who have recovered from COVID-19 might indicate that they are susceptible for reinfection. And though we have seen few cases of reinfection so far, knowing that the cellular immunity does have a good memory and that it is detectable at 6 months, even in people who have had mild or asymptomatic infection, is really very reassuring, because the T cells are the orchestrators of what we call is the adaptive immune response. And this adaptive immune response typically kicks in about 4 to 5 days after the infection. And these T cells are very critical for directing the B cells, which make the antibodies to the SARS-CoV-2 virus and different structures in the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So even if the antibody levels were to decline, but the memory T cells and the T cell response were to sustain for a prolonged period of time, they could reorchestrate a very rapid response to the secondary infection or the reinfection with SARS-CoV-2 that a person might face. So overall, this is very good news.
Now, doctor, how long does immunity against COVID-19 actually last?
So far, the longest data we have for antibodies, Deepak, shows that up to 7 months after the infection, antibodies have been detectable in some patients. Now we have proof that the T cells may last for up to 6 months. And certainly we know from the old coronavirus infections, which cause common cold for human beings for the last 60 plus years, that immune responses can last up to 1 year. Now, in addition to this, we also know that people who survived SARS in 2002-03 and those who survived MERS in 2011-12 have continued to show immune responses, what we call memory immune responses, for up to 10 to 12 years after the infection. So I think it varies from human being to human being. But certainly the human immune system is very capable of maintaining a long-term memory immunity to these viruses, which may work in our favor in the long run.
So, doctor, now there's another report which suggests that T cells are the reason behind the protection and not the antibodies. So, could you please tell us the difference between the two and also the role of T cells with respect to immunity in a person's body?
Sure. So, the B cells and the antibodies that are produced by the B cells are the ones that go and attack to the virus or the virus-infected cells and either neutralize them or mark them almost like you would put a marker on something that needs to be destroyed, that the appropriate cells can then come and destroy those infected cells. Now, the T cells work a little differently in the sense that there is something called helper T cells, and then there is something called killer or cytotoxic T cells. So one arm of these T cells are ones that can actually destroy infected cells very efficiently, and the other part of the T cells are the ones that orchestrate or guide the B cells to make the antibodies. So all in all, the T cells have multiple functions. The antibodies, the different antibodies, there's something called IgG, there's something called IgA and IgM that people would have heard of. And these different antibodies have a role in opsonization, which is the marking of the cells that need to be destroyed by the cellular immunity. So the humoral immunity and the cellular immunity work hand in hand together to get rid of the virus and the virus-infected cells so that the body can heal and recover. And the innate immune response, with something called the macrophages, supports it in this function. And there are also something called neutrophils and other white blood cells that work together as a very, very beautiful symphony or orchestra that ultimately clears the human body of the virus and the infection.
Now, doctor, what is your last message to the people, doctor?
Work on keeping your own immunity strong and healthy, exercise, get good sleep, drink plenty of water, get fresh air and sunlight, and also eat healthy, fresh food, and plus keep wearing your mask, hand washing, hand sanitizing, maintaining physical distance, because ultimately it's our immune system that will protect us, and humans move the virus. If we don't move the virus from place to place through our laxity of care, then the virus will not spread from person to person. So keep all the precautions in place.
Right, Dr. Sitesh, many thanks for joining me in this live interaction. Well, there you heard it. The message is loud and clear. Don't wait for your immune response to kick in when you get infected by COVID-19. Why reach such a stage at all when you can follow all the safety and precautionary measures right now to avoid contracting this particular disease? So if you guys have liked this piece of information that I've shared with you all today, please do drop in your comments. And most importantly, like, share and subscribe to News 9 Digital on various social media platforms. Many thanks for joining us.